Hi, and welcome back to this Thursday edition of Focal Point AFR Talk. Brian Fisher is my name. Yesterday, the March for Life. Thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of protesters out there marching on behalf of the unborn. I want to begin the program today by playing for you a clip that we played yesterday. It's very powerful, very persuasive, very compelling soundbite that captures just through sound. You'll see the audio. If you're watching through our audio and video streaming options, you can go to afr.net. We have audio and video streaming there, afr.net. You can watch it from anywhere in the world. So if you have family or friends that you'd like to introduce to Focal Point or to AFR Talk, they can catch us anywhere they are. We've got apps for the iPhone, for the Android, for the iPad. That's how I stay in touch with this program when I'm not in an area. When I'm traveling and I'm not in an area where we have a station, I just use the app on the iPhone. Cranks up right away. The audio is very crystal clear. So a lot of different ways for people to be able to access our programming. We have podcasts. We post the video segments almost as soon as they are in the can. They're uploaded to our YouTube channel almost right away. We will send out a tweet with a link, as well as put on our Facebook page a link to that video segment so you can stay in touch. A lot of different ways for you to stay in touch with what we're doing. And I encourage you to go, by the way, to our Facebook page. It's Focal Point. Just open up your Facebook page, and in the search bar, just put in Focal Point. It'll pop right up. And I encourage you to go there. I would encourage you to like the page, share it with your friends so that they too can like the Focal Point page, and make that one of the places that you visit. We put the same kind of content on our Focal Point Facebook page that I send out via tweets. A lot of the same links go out on Twitter. And by the way, if you want to follow me on Twitter, Brian J. Fisher is my handle. Brian J. Fisher is the handle. Now, we played this yesterday, and the reason I went into that little background is we're going to post this video up on our Facebook page pretty soon. And Jeff, maybe even once we get that up, okay, it's up. It's up on our Focal Point Facebook page right now. Got some requests for it yesterday. Jeff's already got it up on the Facebook page. And Jeff, if we can, I don't know if there's a way we can send a link to that out on our Twitter feed. But at any rate, you have an opportunity to go to our Focal Point Facebook page, and you can see this video for yourself. It'd be a great video to like and to share with your friends because it's compelling. And it's pretty self-explanatory, but I wanted to play it to you again because it captures, purely by acoustics, it captures the horror of the shedding of innocent blood through abortion. Let's listen.
Right where you are, right there in your seat, just shut your eyes. What you're about to hear is the sound of metal BBs striking the side of a tin can. For every BB that strikes, it represents 10,000 lives lost in the wars of America's past. 10,000 lives for every BB. That is the reality of what is occurring in your country. The American Revolution. The Civil War. World War I. World War II. The Korean conflict. The conflict in Vietnam. September 11th and the War on Terror. Since 1973, the war on the unborn child. God help us.
Yesterday, a number of commentators talking about the March for Life and the abortion issue. I want to play clip number 1, Rob. This is Britt Hume. And I tell you at the end of every program, virtually every day, that we are fighting a winnable war. And here is Britt Hume confirming what I say to you virtually every day. Let's listen.
The 41st anniversary of the day the Supreme Court found that a generalized right to privacy it had basically invented meant that a woman has a constitutional right to snuff out an unborn life, a human being with a beating heart. That's what a fetus as young as 6 weeks is. Small wonder these protesters still come every year to register their continuing objections. Some estimates are that as many as 55 million abortions, 55 million, have occurred since the court acted. In that time, science has given us an ever clearer picture of just how much of a baby a fetus is. At 20 weeks, we now know these tiny creatures can hear, even recognize a mother's voice. Their toenails are growing and their hearts beat loud enough to be heard by a stethoscope. The moral case for allowing such beings to be killed grows ever weaker, and its advocates resort to ever more absurd euphemisms to describe what they support. They're not really pro-abortion, they've long said. They're pro-choice. This isn't about killing unborn babies. It's about reproductive health. And the biggest chain of abortion clinics in the country refers to itself as Planned Parenthood. In 2012, this organization says it carried out, quote, abortion procedures 329,445 times. Whatever that number represents, it's not parenthood. These protesters here today understand that there is something deeply false and wrong about all this. They come each year to remind the rest of us.
So that's Brit Hume commenting on Fox News yesterday. Powerful statement. I think Ted Cruz posted it on his website. And he correctly points out that this right to privacy was something that was invented. There is no right to privacy in the sense that the Supreme Court found and applying it to abortion. There's a right to privacy, clearly in the Fourth Amendment, your right to be secure in your person and your property and your effects without a warrant. That's a right to privacy. They can't come poking in to your person and your papers and your effects without a warrant. That's a right to privacy. But the right to privacy in terms of the right to kill an unborn baby, that's not in the Constitution anywhere. So Brit Hume says, look, this was invented. This isn't constitutional law. This isn't constitutional jurisprudence. There's no application here. The Constitution is absolutely silent on abortion. Now, the Declaration of Independence is very, very clear about the right to life. And Brit Hume talks here about the fact that this is a human baby. It's a baby. At 20 weeks, it can hear, can recognize its mother's voice. Remember John the Baptist leaping in the womb of his mother for joy. So it's capable not just of auditory response, but also capable of emotional response. Toenails are growing, hearts beat loud enough to be heard by a stethoscope. And so what Brit Hume points out here is science is on our side. In order to be for abortion, you have to be against science. You have to be anti-science to be for abortion. And remember that. Next time you hear us being accused of being anti-scientific Neanderthals and Cro-Magnons, the reality is it's the pro-death crowd that is anti-science because they are ignoring everything that science teaches us about life in the womb. And he correctly points out that Planned Parenthood is misnamed because the number one procedure it performs is abortion 329,445 times. There's no Planned Parenthood in that. That is planned genocide is really what Planned Parenthood is about, because remember, the bulk of their clinics are put in minority neighborhoods. More black babies are aborted in New York than are born. It's not Planned Parenthood. It's planned genocide. Now, here is Charles Krauthammer, clip number 2, talking also about Roe v. Wade. Let's listen.
The tragedy is that all the arguments are always around the edges. There's no way in which a democracy like ours we can actually have a vote on the real issue, whether to make it legal or not. And the tragedy is that if you look, people go out in the street in Cairo and Kiev because there's no other way to express yourself democratically. That shouldn't happen in a democracy. And yet for 40 years, the only way to express yourself on abortion, on the core issue, was to go out and to march in the freezing cold. And the reason is, however you feel about abortion, on the morality or the legality of it, the Roe decision was an abomination because it took it out of the democratic and political realm. And to quote Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who obviously is a supporter of abortion rights, she said the Roe decision, by stopping a political process that was moving in the reform direction, prolonged divisiveness and deferred stable settlement of the issue. That's why you had all these people today in the freezing cold, and that's not how it ought to be done in a democracy, which is why Roe ought to be repealed.
So Roe ought to be repealed. Charles Krauthammer refers to it as an abomination, which means, by the way, that that's an okay word. Charles Krauthammer can call abortion an abomination or Roe v. Wade an abomination. We can call homosexual behavior an abomination because God does. That's the term that God uses for homosexual behavior. It is an abomination. Abortion is an abomination. Roe v. Wade is an abomination. Charles Krauthammer says so. So anyway, and Krauthammer makes a good point here. This has been taken completely out of the democratic process. You know, this was something states were dealing with when the Roe v. Wade ruling was handed down. States were dealing with the issue of abortion. Some were tightening restrictions. Some were loosening restrictions. Do not forget that abortion in the Western world under common law was illegal for 700 years prior to Roe v. Wade. So the proper question is not, can abortion be made illegal? The proper question is, can abortion be made illegal again, just as it was in the West for 700 years? Again, the question is not, can we make abortion illegal, but can we make it illegal again, just as it was for 700 years? Looking at a piece here on Christian Post about abortion myths being debunked by pro-lifers. Just want to address a couple of them. One of the myths in the pro-abortion movement is that abortion is needed because of overpopulation. But Stephen Mosher, who is the president of Population Research Institute and a fellow alum of Stanford University, by the way, said that we are actually making society poorer as a result of abortion. And here's why you can't separate social conservatism from economic conservatism. Contrary to what most professors tell their students, Mosher declared, the socially responsible thing is to have children, providing the future consumers, the future producers, and the future taxpayers. All that's economics. It's economic stuff rooted in this profound reverence for the sanctity of human life. If American families had an average of 3 children, Social Security would be solvent forever. You want to know why Social Security is not solvent? Because of abortion in small American families. If the 56 million babies aborted since Roe v. Wade were working in our society, the deficit would be half or less what it is now. Children raised in large families have lower rates of crime, drug use, premarital sex. Sanctity of life, good for babies, good for America.